it's Marilyn again from Twister Sisters Designs. Last video I showed you how to make a large twister quilt following the instructions that came with the large twister tool, if you recall there. Because every tool came with instructions to make a project. But hey, what if you say, oh, but I want to make a certain size quilt. I have a baby quilt I want to make for my niece coming up, and how big does my grid of squares have to be to yield the finished twister quilt? So good question, because as I mentioned in the first video, we have a handy reference guide called the Twister Planner. It does all the math for you from runners up to queen king size quilts, focusing on the three largest sizes, Little Twister, the Midi Twister, and the Big Twister, because those would be the easiest sizes to use to get the bigger projects. So it does all the math for you. It shows a bunch of different grid options. And so let me start with showing you, for example, the runner size. So like I said, when I showed you this fabric that I used in that last video, I had a charm pack of that. And I used that to lay out again, varying the light and darks. I used a Little Twister tool and applied it with a 3x11 grid of squares. And I came up with this cute runner. Just put a thin border around it, because remember, we're gonna have the bias. And the other option it shows for runners is to do a 5x7 layout of grids. Because again, 5x7 is 35 squares, the 3x11 is 33 squares. You can do it all with a charm pack, or you could decide to cut your own squares. So my friend Celine Perkins made up these fun samples with the packs, varying nicely the light and darks, and then chose a bright white to offset the fabric so the pinwheels really pop nicely. And she had some leftover pieces to make the fun stripped border. And then she also did the 5x7 layout using this red and white version, which turned out really cute too, to get the different idea. And again, that was made with a Little Twister tool. And when I showed you, I think in the first video, you can also go multicolor. So remember, if you just envisioned that you made the same projects but had used, vary your colors instead of lights and darks, you can vary bright colors. And black is always like a good background to use on those for a nice pop. Okay, so next to go the larger projects, or I should say, if you want to do the runner, but you want to do like a bed runner, you would just be using the Midi Twister or the large twister, and the guide shows you how big those would end up being, and again, how big the grid to start. The quilts, the next size Midi Twister, the ones that are shown below here, those two samples I did using the Midi Twister, uses 6.5-inch squares, and I just followed the layout for the size I wanted, kind of throw size on those. Again, if I wanted larger quilts that are shown there, I would have used one of the larger grid options in there. And then the last example is using the large twister tool. I made this for the big version, following the 8x10 grid information that again showed how much yardage, or using 10-inch square pre-cuts, and then it showed how much yardage was needed for the border that I had here in the light gray, and then you could use leftovers to do the strippy end parts there. So I just really like the idea of showing you all the different options that the Twister Planner provides. It's really for scrappy look of pinwheels. So showing that you don't really need any other separate pattern besides the planner. But if you end up deciding you want to do some of the fun other options, we have a multitude of patterns. We have some really cute animals, we have holiday things, we have some simple runners up to like even a block of the month options. And then turning the page here, there's also some twister books and a variety of things like the pillows. We have a twister tray. We even have cute little pouches. And then my other company is called Quilt Moments. You might know me from that. I do a variety of piece patterns besides even twister, but these are some of the twister patterns I've done, including twister shimmer. So thanks so much, and join me for the next video coming soon.